Good evening, everybody. It's Charlie, and welcome back to another video on the Chatting Leeds YouTube channel. I hope everyone has had a great Sunday so far. Just before we get into it, please make sure that you are smashing that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you are brand new and hit that notification bell. And of course, get all of your thoughts and opinions into the comment section down below. And it is time for your key takeaways from yesterday's 2-0 victory away at Cardiff City. A few things that I just wanted to come on and discuss from the game. Obviously, now I've had time to think about it and analyze it in my own way. There are a few things that are still not great in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, buzzing with the win, and people might think that I'm just being negative for negative's sake, but I think the majority of Leeds fans can agree that yes, it was a good win, but there are definitely still areas that need to be improved upon massively. And the first thing for me is the midfield. Again, I say it week in, week out, but I just thought it was very evident once again yesterday. In a double pivot, when there's Gruev and Ampadu, I don't see what Gruev brings to the table, really. A lot of sideways passing, a lot of backwards passing. Not enough risks being taken moving forward with the ball. He doesn't drive with the ball. He doesn't get involved in the attacks. He doesn't score goals. He doesn't assist. And again, I say it all the time, but in a double pivot, one should sit and one should have the license to roam forward, and neither of them do that because they're exactly the same. Farker apparently has said that it's a perfect balance with them two in midfield. Well, I strongly disagree. Tanaka came onto the pitch yesterday and completed 25 out of 25 passes in just 8 minutes. So again, very small sample size, but I think whenever he's come onto the pitch, he's looked confident on the ball, wants to move forward, always trying to get involved and link up play from the midfield into the attack. Gruev doesn't do any of that. He isn't going to drop Ampadu because he's the captain, and he shouldn't drop Ampadu, by the way, because I think Ampadu's a great defensive midfielder for us. But Gruev is a good player as well, but they just don't complement each other whatsoever. And I'm sick to death of seeing him put Gruev and Ampadu in the midfield. Like, that change really needs to start happening soon, because I just think it'll just continue to be frustrating to watch. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, that's the first point. Secondly, complacency. I think we saw a lot of that in the second half, especially. Cardiff were terrible. Like, let's just be honest. Like, they are the worst team that we will probably face this season. They were absolutely awful. They were kicking the ball out of play every 2 seconds. They couldn't really keep the ball for long enough. We just dominated them in every aspect of the game. But I think that's why we were so complacent in the second half. Like, even when we missed the penalty, I just think we knew we were going to win that game because of how bad they were. But that is still no excuse for being complacent in this division. Any team, even Cardiff, Cardiff could have easily broke on the counter-attack and equalised late on in that game. And then what? We need to really start taking advantage of these teams. The majority of teams in this league are awful. Apart from a select few, us included. And it's just really frustrating to see us just passing it around the back in the midfield. Again, not enough risks being taken going forward in that second half for me. Need to be way more clinical. The penalty is a perfect example. Why have you got a centre half taking a penalty? I know it worked on the opening day, but that cannot be happening again. Like, you cannot be letting Pascal Strout take a penalty again, because it was a poor penalty. But it's understandable because he is a centre back, not a centre forward. So, but yeah, like I say, I just thought Leeds were very complacent in that second half. And, you cannot afford to be complacent in this league because teams can pick you off at any given moment. And, if Cardiff had have equalised and got something from that game, would have all been spitting blood. So, go for the jugular, keep on them, get in the faces still, especially when they were down to 10 men as well. We should have, it should have been 4, 5, 6, in my opinion. They were that bad. So yeah, that's the second point. The third point, and it's no news to everybody. Everybody knows the score by now, but even yesterday was a bit of a stretch. Daniel Farke waited until the 83rd minute to make a change in the game. Say what you want about Cardiff, but they made changes well earlier than that. They were at least maybe trying to at least get something from the game, or at least not make it any worse for themselves. And yeah, I get we were in control and we were dominating the ball, and there was no real threat from Cardiff whatsoever. However, all the more reason to make changes and rest a few of your better players. To wait 83rd minute to bring PIROE and Sam Byram on. And I know PIROE ended up scoring, and believe me, that is the next point we will be touching on. But his subs are predictable. Now, again, Farke's usual substitute time is 70 minutes. Went way past that yesterday afternoon. Maybe be a bit more proactive with your subs, Daniel. I've said it time and time again, but I just don't understand him in terms of his subs. Yesterday was a perfect example to maybe give Tanaka more game time. Maybe get PIROE on a bit earlier. I don't know. That's why I'm not paid the big bucks, but it's just really bizarre as to why Daniel Farke just has this reluctance to make subs like earlier in games. And the final point, briefly just touched upon him then, but Mr. Joel PIROE, a lot of debate going on in the aftermath of yesterday's game on, in the YouTube space, on Twitter, etc., on if PIROE should come in for Mateo Joseph. Now, I'm a big fan of Mateo Joseph. I think he's got huge potential. I predicted on the White Wall podcast that he would be our top goal scorer this season. And I know he got man of the match against Sheffield Wednesday, even though he didn't score, because he did have a good game. And I think apart from the Burnley game, I thought yesterday he was all right. Held up the ball quite well, but didn't really do much other than that. But apart from those two games, I think he has actually started off well. He's got his goal against Hull. But ultimately, strikers are judged on goals. 1 goal in 6 isn't great for your number 9 that you're hoping to help get you promoted to the Premier League. And Farke alluded to it in his post-match comments, saying that the rest of the team could take a leaf out of Joel PIROE's book. 2 substitute appearances, 2 goals, a clinical finisher at this level, one of the best strikers in the Championship over the last 3 or 4 seasons. But he's saying all this, but yet he still can't make him work in his team and in his style of play. Can PIROE play as a number 9? We've not really seen great evidence as to suggest he can. Can he play in behind Joseph? Absolutely not. Too slow and too immobile. Doesn't get that much involved in the attack. PIROE's the perfect man to finish off an attack. And I know people have said he can't play number 9 because he doesn't occupy centre backs and he isn't quick enough. I've said that in the past. But then when you actually think about it, Joseph makes good runs, but we never really feed the ball through to him that way. We don't really play that way where we'll play a ball in behind or anything like that. We overpass it a lot in the final third, I think, especially on the edge of the box. And for some reason, we only seem to attack down the left-hand side, but that's another story. So we don't really play like that anyway. So could PIROE literally just be a number 9? But the problem with that, and as we saw last season, is when PIROE does play number 9, he always drops back into the 10 role anyway. I think if PIROE stayed up top and was a goal poacher, it could potentially work. Potentially being the operative word there. Am I saying I want Joseph dropped? Not necessarily. But at the same time, I do concede that there is definitely a conversation to be had. Because in terms of finishing, PIROE's probably the best finisher we've got at the club. And that finish yesterday for his goal was really good. Tight angle, but managed to get it through. Joseph maybe misses that chance. Bamford misses that chance. Again, I'm not saying Joe PIROE is the ultimate answer, but the facts don't lie. You know, he's come on as a sub twice in the last 3 games and he scored 2 goals. 2 goals in 3 games. And it should be a meritocracy. Should PIROE come in and start against Coventry? Would that be a big blow to Mateo Joseph's confidence? Probably. But does he maybe need this to give him more fire in his belly to go out and get the goals that we need? You know, the Burnley opportunity last week, he should bury that. I think PIROE probably scores that. So, and again, it's fine margins. You know, he has had his opportunities. I'm not saying he's not trying to get the goals, but like I said, strikers are judged on goals. And he's got 1 goal in 6. PIROE's got 2 goals in 3. It is a tough one. It's a very tough one, but I do want to know all of your guys' thoughts and opinions on all of the topics raised in this video this evening. I do really hope that you've all enjoyed it. If you have, please make sure you're smashing a like. It does help get the video out there to more people. Please subscribe to the channel if you are brand new and hit the notification bell. And like I said, get your comments in. I want to know what you're all thinking about this. And I will see you in the next upload. Cheers.